everyone, and welcome back to Chosun Yonghwa Review. I am your humble host, Jesse, and today we are going to be delving deep into the mists of time to review one of the most famous Korean folktales of all time. Today's movie is none other than Kil Dong, which was released in 1986 in North Korea. The story of Kil Dong, however, is not so recent, with the earliest mentioning of the story dating back to 1584. The story in a nutshell is that it's essentially Korea's Robin Hood, and has become one of the most famous folktales in Korean history, the North Korean adaptation of which is only one of several film adaptations. It is worth mentioning that there are several different versions of the story, 34 to be exact, though they generally follow the same timeline. That said, the North Korean version takes several artistic liberties with the story, which we'll discuss later, but for now, on to the review. The movie begins in the dead of the night within a small Korean village. All is quiet, when all of a sudden... Ninjas, are you fucking kidding me? No, okay, hang on, stop. We're gonna have to get something straight here, a little history lesson for you all. Despite popular culture depicting ninjas dressing in black pajamas as far back as the early 19th century, ninjas never dressed like this. Not once in recorded history. Not even at night. Never. Ninjas wanted to blend in with their environment, and in doing so, the last thing they would wear is a garment that would immediately give them away as someone who was potentially up to something suspect. It would be the equivalent of a suicide bomber wearing his bomb strapped to his chest openly while casually walking down the street. The ninjas, even though this is Joseon and not feudal Japan, stealthily make their way through the village. One of the ninjas hears a vibration from the ground. As they prepare for battle, a man donned in a white and purple gown emerges from a rooftop. He introduces himself as the flutist, Kil Dong, and we're given the title screen, which is then followed by an amusing credit sequence. Ha, I can already tell this is going to be great. It's a dark and stormy night in Joseon as the scene pans to a window. Inside, we see a woman, having a baby. Oh, okay, cool. The local chief's wife is upset, not because he obviously cheated on her, but that she chose to impregnate a woman of low social status. Her tirade is interrupted by the sound of a baby's crying as little Kil Dong is born. The scene quickly changes from Kil Dong as a baby to him as a young child, where he refuses to cut his hair for his father because it's against the teachings of Confucianism. Thoroughly impressed by his answer, his father, whose name turns out to be Lord Hong, asks how he knew that, to which his brother replies that he read the works of Confucius by age 4. We see the two brothers playing together like normal kids when one of the palace servants sees Kil Dong standing on his brother's back to reach some oranges on a tree. The woman quickly summons the king's wife from before, who beats Kil Dong in front of his mother for daring to play with his brother, whom is actual royalty due to the fact that he wasn't born from a concubine like Kil Dong was. The maid scolds Kil Dong never to play with a true noble ever again and storms off. A young and beaten Kil Dong is distraught and asks his mother why she never stands up for him, despite his frequent beatings by the hands of her. His mother's hands are tied, however, as to stand up to his wife would mean either death or expulsion. Later on, Lord Hong attends a meeting with other chiefs with the king. Lord Hong is tricked into accepting to help pacify the Pyongan province, which has been overrun with robbers. When he tells his wife of this, she laments that she could go with him, but someone would have to look after the house. For 3 years, he'll be gone. When Lord Hong tells Kil Dong and his mother the news, Kil Dong's mother asks to go with him, saying that he will need company for the time he'll be gone. Lord Hong accepts, but unbeknownst to him, his actual wife overhears this and is driven into a jealous rage. Hong's wife secretly hires a gang to kill Kil Dong and his mother while they are on their way to Pyongan. The group is attacked by the game, whom quickly kill everyone except for the two. Instead of killing them as Hong's wife instructed, the gang's boss chooses instead to keep Kil Dong's mother as a sex slave. Before he is able to kill Kil Dong, however, the two are saved as Gandalf the Grey swoops in at the last second, taking the man's sword from him as he breaks it effortlessly in half. He then introduces himself as Donald Trump and instructs Kil Dong and his mom to continue on, while he effortlessly dispatches the entire group by pulling off some chi-blocking shit like Ty Lee from Avatar: The Last Airbender. In fact, I could probably see this movie being the inspiration for her. After freezing all of them, he instructs them to better themselves as human beings and then rejoins Kil Dong and co. Kil Dong begs the old man to take him in and to teach him how to fight like him. The old man happily accepts and brings them into his home deep in the mountains, where he begins conditioning and training the young boy on the basics of fighting. The two develop a bond with each other, and eventually the old man gives Kil Dong a flute and tells him to practice.
선생님, 고맙소이다.
As time progresses, we see his skills improve significantly, and by significantly, I mean effortlessly jumping 30 meters in the air kind of significantly. In one particular scene, after Kil Dong jumps over a 30-foot tree, the old man instructs him to remove the ankle weights used to condition his jumping. With the weights no longer weighing him down, no pun intended, he's able to clear entire treetops with one leap, bouncing along the forest and basically all around perform like your local gas station meth addict. There's even this one scene in particular where he fucking clocks a deer by throwing a stone, knocking it out cold. Later on, we see Kil Dong bringing the deer he caught to a local man who owns a small distillery, where he trades the deer for some rice wine and other supplies. As he's about to leave, a gang of thieves who had been drinking there approach him and attempt to rob him. He easily evades their attacks, which impresses the boss, who attempts to convince him to join them. Kil Dong recognizes the scar on the man's hand from where he'd bitten him as a child all those years before when they tried to take his mother. They recognize him as a little boy and attempt to kill him. Kil Dong responds by mercilessly beating the shit out of all of them, culminating with Kil Dong killing the boss by impaling him on a sharp object. Having finished off the stragglers who'd run off, Kil Dong and the distillery owner rummage through the thieves' property, eventually coming across a burlap sack that, when opened, reveals a fucking grown woman they'd just casually been hiding in there. Seriously, like, she doesn't even look injured or distressed in the slightest, just like, hey, yeah, random bitch in a sack, nothing to see here. Kil Dong carries the girl back to his house, where she eventually awakens in the care of Kil Dong's mother, and who I'm presuming is the old man's wife. The girl introduces herself as Yeonhwa, and that she's the daughter of a minister in Seoul. She soon becomes well-adjusted to life in the mountains, apparently not missing her family or home or anything like that. She soon becomes acquainted with Kil Dong, and the two quickly develop an almost childlike infatuation with each other, to the point where it begins to affect Kil Dong's training. This draws the ire of the old man, who lectures him on the importance of his training, and tells him not to let this affection for Yeonhwa interfere with that, or he will have to leave.
본래를 털어버리고 온 넋을 쏟아부을 수 있겠느냐? 선생님, 맹세하오이다. 그렇다면 그 결심을 내게 보여다오. 알겠소이다, 선생님.
Faced with no other choice, he brings Yeonhwa on horseback to the local shop owner where he found her. He tells the shop owner to ensure she gets to Seoul safely, and quickly leaves. A devastated and up until that point unaware Yeonhwa begs for Kil Dong not to leave her. Kil Dong quickly rides off without a word, but not before Yeonhwa chases after him in vain, pleading all the way for him to come back to her. Yeonhwa eventually makes her way back to her home in Seoul, where she enjoys a tearful reunion with her mother and father, who presumed her dead. Yeonhwa's father then meets with Lord Hong, and offers to marry off Yeonhwa with Kil Dong as a thanks for saving her life. Lord Hong, who up until this point was unaware that Kil Dong was still alive, happily agrees. Lord Hong relays this news to Kil Dong's half-brother In-hyung, who is equally joyous that Kil Dong is alive. Later on, the old man gives Kil Dong a special sword and tells him that his time has come, and that he must depart, as the old man has taught him everything he needs to know. He instructs Kil Dong that he must use his skills only for defending the country, and nothing else. With this final piece of advice from the man who'd been like a father to him, he tearfully wishes the old man well, and departs with his mother down the mountain, the place which he'd called home for so much of his life.
선생님. 길동아, 어서 떠나거라.
주인 아저씨에게 인사나 하고 가시오이다.
While trekking along the path with his mother, they walk by the store owner's house. His mother suggests to say goodbye to him as well. Kil Dong agrees, and as they approach his house, the store owner tells him that a noble had been waiting for them all day. This noble appears as none other than Kil Dong's brother, In-hyung, who is unable to contain his emotions upon seeing the pair again after presuming them dead for so long. Kil Dong is equally happy to see In-hyung, and the two embrace.
길동아, 저리.
Later on in Seoul, Kil Dong and co. meet with Lord Hong, who is enthralled to see that his son is alive and well. Less pleased to hear this news, however, is Lord Hong's wife, who was under the assumption her assassination plot succeeded. Meanwhile, Yeonhwa's father learns of the fact that Kil Dong is actually the son of a concubine, and not a noble like In-hyung. Aghast by this sudden discovery, he barges into Yeonhwa's room and tells her that the engagement is off. Yeonhwa refuses her father's insistence on marrying another man, claiming that she would rather die than marry anyone other than Kil Dong for saving her life.
전문가의 안방에서 이 무슨 괴이한 잡소린고? 안 된다.
아버님, 예로부터 생명의 은인은 천민이든 곱사등이든
That night, Hong's wife comes in to berate the two for being too loud and keeping Lord Hong awake at night, despite the fact that Lord Hong was enjoying himself, revealing that she's still the same abusive old hag she was before.
병약한 상공의 수명은 줄이자고 다시 찾아왔군.
The next day, following a horse ride with his brother In-hyung, Lord Hong receives a letter from Yeonhwa's father detailing the rejection of Kil Dong marrying Yeonhwa. The letter further reveals that Yeonhwa attempted suicide after the fact. Hong's wife, never skipping an opportunity to be a sniveling bitch, murmurs that Kil Dong doesn't deserve to be with her. Learning of this, Kil Dong's anger begins to get the best of him. Later that night, Kil Dong breaks down in front of his father, asking him why he was ever allowed to be born if he couldn't enjoy life like others, or even to marry the woman he loves because of who he is. Lord Hong will hear none of it, however, and sees his son off, failing to see the frustration that his actions brought him. As the family retires for the evening, Hong's wife reveals to her maid that she hired the same man whose brother was killed by Kil Dong to finish the job while he sleeps. Luckily for Kil Dong, however, In-hyung overhears the conversation and rushes to alert him right before he's stabbed. Kil Dong effortlessly subdues the would-be assassin, who laughs and reveals that it was Hong's wife who ordered the assassination, a claim which In-hyung confirms. He lets the killer go, as killing him would implicate Hong's wife. Faced with no other choice, he entrusts the care of his mother to In-hyung and leaves the house forever. He makes In-hyung promise that his mother will be cared for, and departs into the night. As the night goes on, we see Yeonhwa sitting idly in her room, her ambient concentration broken by the faint sound of a flute playing in the distance. She investigates to find Kil Dong sitting atop a roof. He quickly throws her a letter before vanishing into the void of darkness. The letter tells Yeonhwa of Kil Dong's plan he must achieve before they can be together, and to not attempt suicide again, but to wait for him. Yeonhwa begins to cry. All the while, Kil Dong, having found his purpose in life, sets out to make the world a better place.
도련님. 도련님.
For Kil Dong's first act of kindness, he stumbles across a village that's been repeatedly sacked by corrupt government officials, the same ones entrusted with protecting them. Kil Dong easily beats up two of the officials who promise that they'll be back. Another man approaches Kil Dong, who reaffirms their statements, saying that if Kil Dong leaves, they'll all be killed. When the government officials do return en masse, Kil Dong toys with them for a while by jumping from tree to tree in an effort to drive them away from the village. In doing so, however, they manage to capture the man from before who warned Kil Dong about their return. They tie him up and beat him in front of the local village chief, but the man still refuses to speak, so instead they bring his wife and child, beating them both. The man reluctantly tells them where Kil Dong supposedly went in order to spare his family. Instead of sparing them, however, the chief orders the child tied to a tree while an archer takes aim with his bow. Just as he releases his arrow, however, a stone knocks it out of mid-flight and Kil Dong appears. A fight ensues with some decent choreography as he defeats the various guards protecting the village chief. He appears to the men from the village who are waiting outside and instructs them to go fetch their rice that was taken from them. The villagers take the time to thank Kil Dong for his kindness, but tell him that all throughout the country, the nobles are abusing their authority and taking advantage of the peasants. They tell him of a group of refugees from the village of Pa Wee who are fleeing their oppressive governor. They urge Kil Dong to help them, and he sets out. The scene shifts to the drunken governor indulging in a lavish buffet while surrounding himself with fresh concubines, whom he promptly threatens to kill their parents if they don't have sex with him. The same ominous flute from before is heard, however, with Kil Dong bursting into the chamber soon after. He quickly tail whips one man into submission, then threatens to kill the governor should he not distribute his food and women equally.
소산마을의 백성들이 지금 양식이 떨어져 굶주리고 있다. 그런데 네놈들은 진탕치면서 전우들을 물건짝으로 치부하니.
The governor agrees, and we see the villagers all gathering to get their fill of rice and grain. The villagers are initially aghast by the sudden generosity of the governor, when one of the officials tells them that it's because of the flutist. News of this flutist, the so-called helper of the poor, quickly begins to spread. It isn't long, however, until Kil Dong is reunited with the man who tried to kill him on 3 separate occasions again. This time after his gang tries to rob a group of people carrying the rice he'd just given them. He once again defeats his gang and holds the man's life in his hands once more. With his golden sword pressed against his neck, he asks why the man continues to rob people. The man who reveals his name is Thukje begins to sob. He tells Kil Dong to kill him, saying that he is ashamed to have run into him again after witnessing his generosity and forgiving Hong's wife for trying to kill him. Kil Dong, in what is the 4th act of generosity towards the man, cuts off his hair with a sword, replying with "Tokje is dead." Tokje, inspired by his mercy, promises to change himself as a person and to never rob again. As time goes on, we see more and more corrupt officials hearing the faint sound of the flute, followed by Kil Dong bursting through the doorway like a Chulsan version of the Kool-Aid Man, ordering them to give away their hoarded food or else. All throughout Chulsan, tales of a benevolent flutist who fights for those who cannot fight for themselves is spread far and wide, eventually reaching Yonhua herself as she continues to endure pressure from her parents to marry someone of noble status. Things are not so well for Kil Dong's mother, however. Despite In Hyung's best efforts, he is helpless to stop his mother from ordering her around the house, instructing her to do the things that the housemaid should do, and making her life miserable in general. When Tokje relays this information to Kil Dong, he laments for his mother and wishes to go back to her. Before he can, however, Tokje tells him about reports of black monsters around Chosun. These monsters come at night and kill all with impunity, even women and children. Kil Dong is shocked by these reports and thanks Tokje for helping him and congratulates him on changing his life.
인생의 새 출발을 한 특제. 도령님이 부하로 삼아 주시오.
We suddenly get to see these so-called black monsters, which are actually ninjas from the movie's introduction. They slaughter and kill without mercy, even go as far as killing this little girl in cold blood right in front of her dead mother. Like seriously, it isn't implied off screen or anything, just straight up murdering a 4-year-old kid on screen. That's not something I would have expected to pass their censorship laws. They eventually evade patrols and sneak their way into the king's castle, kill 2 more officials, and then make off with some valuable treasure. The king calls an emergency meeting where he criticizes all of the officials for failing to do their respective jobs. He banishes all of them from entering the court until the box is returned. The ninjas, who are now known as the Black Corps, continue on their rampage. In-hyung vows to defeat them, but before long it's revealed that Yeonhwa has been kidnapped by them as well.
뭐라고? 들이 이제 내 딸까지.
While Kil Dong, Tokjae, and their gang struggle to locate their headquarters, as well as uncover their origin, In-hyung leads a search party throughout the city at night. His group is attacked by the ninjas, and In-hyung himself is badly injured, but luckily is saved by Tokjae and his gang, and bring him back to Kil Dong at their hideout. At the hideout, In-hyung tells him that it was the king who ordered him to find the ninjas, and that Yeonhwa was kidnapped. Kil Dong believes that the ninjas are likely from abroad and states that the entire nation must unite in order to defeat them. He orders Tokjae to use his connections with bandits in the area to help locate the ninjas' hideout. Through the use of some clever surveillance techniques, the bandits are able to track the ninjas to a small house deep in the wilderness. They prepare to give chase, but are suddenly cut down by a ninja who spots them. By morning, Tokjae, realizing the 2 men he sent to Pine Tree Valley have yet to return, and sets out with his men to go investigate. They stumble across a tavern at the end of the road run by an old lady. Tokjae asks if the lady has been here long, to which she replies she's a newcomer. He notices a black horse hitched to a tree. When he asks if the horse belongs to her, she exclaims that it isn't. He then notices a horse cart hidden under some hay, matching the descriptions of the ninjas using a horse cart. Just when things couldn't get fishier, a plate falls off a table, but before it can hit the ground, the woman snatches it with some lightning-fast reflexes for an old woman. This being the final straw for Tokjae, who draws his sword on the woman, she evades the strike with little effort and leaps straight through the straw roof, revealing herself as a male ninja all along. Alright then. The ninjas then ambush Tokjae and his gang, who narrowly escape with heavy casualties. Meanwhile, at the Legion of Ninja headquarters, we see them all indulging in drinks and observing the dozens of women they've captured, including Yeonhwa. The boss enters the room and immediately orders the ninja who was in charge of the tavern incident killed for failing to kill all of Tokjae's men. He then tells the rest that the ship for home leaves tomorrow and to prepare. While this happens, Tokjae tells Kil Dong of the location of the ninjas, and cries out that he wishes he'd died with his men who had all perished at the tavern. The group secretly then surrounds the hideout as they load cargo onto the ship. Just as the ninjas are about to order the girls onto the ship, however, they hear the now infamous flute in the distance. Kil Dong abruptly emerges in front of the boss in his lair. Kil Dong jumps into action, fighting off multiple attackers at once. While on the surface, Tokjae along with In-hyung lead the charge against the ninjas near the boat, followed by hundreds of government troops as they fight to overwhelm the ninjas. The ninjas quickly form a perimeter and put up a competent fight against overwhelming odds, but this time the Koreans are prepared with traps to counter their usual tactics. One by one the ninjas are rounded up or killed as Tokjae and his forces are victorious, albeit with significant losses. Kil Dong, on the other hand, continues to fight against the ninjas, this time on the surface as well. The ninjas are no match for his adept fighting skills and his incredible agility, as one by one he defeats each opponent with lightning speed and efficiency. As Kil Dong finally fights with the boss, who is the last ninja alive, Yeonhwa springs into action, getting the rest of the girls out of the cave. Despite being badly wounded by this point, Kil Dong and the boss are evenly matched. However, Kil Dong does eventually defeat the boss by throwing his sword into his chest. He doesn't walk away unscathed, however, with the boss's own sword firmly embedded into his arm. Shaken and barely conscious, he collapses in front of Yeonhwa. The scene immediately cuts to Kil Dong being perfectly healthy. Like, seriously, no tension at all. Oh my gosh, he's mortally wounded. Is he gonna die? Oh, no, never mind. Perfectly fine. Okay. The king thanks Kil Dong for saving Chosun and offers to grant him whatever he wants. In Hyung explains the situation between Kil Dong and Yeonhwa and begs to allow them to marry. Despite the king literally saying he would grant any wish, refuses to allow the marriage, saying that he would grant anything except for that. Frustrated and betrayed, Kil Dong along with Yeonhwa and his mother and the rest of his gang board a ship, and the movie ends with a monologue about despite doing so much for the country, they still got nothing in return, and were forced to leave Chosun in search of a land where everyone would have equal rights, and have a chance to live a happy life without poverty, but leaves them wondering if such a place truly exists. Country with freedom and equal rights. Okay, well this movie was interesting for sure. We definitely have a lot to discuss in this film, so let's get right to it. The first thing I want to talk about is just how much this movie strays from the source material. Now I know I mentioned before that there are several different versions of the story, but they all generally follow the same plot with some minor differences. This adaptation shares most of the plot with the original, with the exception of Act 3. You see, in the book, Kil Dong eventually grows tired of the corrupt monarchy and actually overthrows the king, becoming the king himself and enacts policies that effectively eliminate the oppressive caste system. This movie, however, the third act is replaced with the ninja invasion. Now, I can think of one major reason why they probably did this. Now, this is pure speculation, of course. They could have gone the route of Kil Dong overthrowing the oppressive government, establishing a new free country for all, and made all the parallels with Kim Il-sung being the modern embodiment of Hong Kil Dong. However, someone from the Sunjun Sundongbu probably took a look at this and decided that a peasant uprising overthrowing an oppressive, corrupt government that starves its citizens could potentially send the wrong message at the time, so they changed it to Kil Dong fighting ninjas from Japan instead, just so they can clear up any unnecessary thoughts their people might have, while at the same time playing off anti-Japanese sentiment. Which brings us to our next overall discussion, the themes, and there are many. There are various communist undertones throughout this film, with the notable examples being the desire for a classless society. Throughout the film, we see Kil Dong and his mother constantly mistreated and abused because of their social status, and that regardless of what Kil Dong achieves, even as going as far as saving the entire country, still cannot marry the woman he loves because they are of different classes. This oppressive caste system is the driving factor that forces them to leave Korea altogether in search of a better life. Oh my fucking god. The irony is killing me. Seriously though, there is a heavy dose of irony here, seeing as how North Korea today is famous for its Songbun system, which is essentially a caste system in of itself. North Korean citizens are divided into three classes, the loyal class, the wavering class, and the hostile class. Without going into too much detail, as I want to make a video dedicated to this in the future, your class determines everything from who you marry, what job you have, how much food you get, and where you're allowed to live. Sound familiar? But hey, at least it's not a feudal monarchy, right? Oh, communism. You know, Red Dawn says it best. The next major theme I want to discuss is the anti-Japanese sentiment. As I mentioned before, the entire third act is replaced with ninjas from Japan who have come to plunder Korea for its riches, and women and take it back to Korea. Now obviously they're alluding to the actual Japanese occupation which occurred from 1905 to 1945, whereby Japan essentially did exactly what happened in this movie except on a larger scale. Kil Dong's peasant army rising up and expelling the Japanese from Korea is an effective foreshadowing of Kim Il-sung's own peasant army that fought and expelled the Japanese from Korea. Well, at least that's what the average North Korean would draw parallels to. We all know that's utter nonsense and that it was the Americans and the Soviets, but you're not here for a history lesson, so I digress. Like in all North Korean films, and, well, like a lot of South Korean films too, portraying the Japanese, they are depicted as evil sociopathic monsters without a shred of remorse as they plunder, rape, and murder with impunity. No thought is given as to why the Japanese might be invading Korea, no explanation or character development is given to them. Soulless monsters were made to immediately hate, nothing deeper. It doesn't even make sense that ninjas would be in Korea to begin with. Ninjas, like I said, were never an organized force, and their existence as a whole was to fight corrupt samurai. Essentially, they were the Japanese version of Kil Dong himself, but I guess your movie doesn't have to make sense when you're playing the victim of an atrocity that happened almost a century ago. Now before I get into all the characters, I just want to give a big shout out to my man Tokjae here. Fuck yeah, man! This guy here is debatably the real hero of this movie, especially in the last act where he not only discovers the ninja hideout, but later leads the charge head fucking on at the beachhead in the film's climax. Tokjae's character is an excellent example of character development done right. We see him go from a low-life criminal thief who nearly kills Kil Dong as a boy to realizing the consequences of his life's decisions and decides to join him in saving Korea. Way to go, Tokjae. Hands down my favorite character in this film. Now for the rest of them, I have to say they're all decent. Kil Dong is a respectable man who chooses to do right by his people. Although in the final act, I have to say he seems to leave a lot of the tasks to his subordinates, including finding the ninja base, when he could have easily done it himself. This, in my opinion, causes a lot of deaths that didn't necessarily need to happen. Still though, he is our protagonist, and he does save the day in the end. It's just worth pointing out that he didn't do it alone. Yeonhwa, by contrast, is your typical damsel in distress. Nothing more, really. Actress does a decent job, however the lack of character development leaves me wanting more. In-hyung is an interesting case of a middle ground character. Despite loving and caring for his brother and stepmother dearly, he's a keen supporter of the status quo and a member of the noble class. The fact that he doesn't let this go to his head, however, makes him a respectable, likable character. I absolutely detest Lord Hong's wife. Reminds me of my own grandmother. Ugh. As far as the production quality is concerned, this is another high-budget North Korean production. The cinematography is almost on par with Western movies of the time. No grainy, scratchy film reels this time around like in some later films. Although the frequent usage of the word bro in the subtitles more or less confirms the translation was done by Indians. The fight choreography, while still containing silly elements like actors clearly aided by wires in the jumping segments, is done a lot better this time around and is leaps and bounds better than the fight choreography in Order Number 27. This actually feels like a martial arts movie. One thing that I was very surprised at was just how gory this movie is. For a country that to date has never had two characters openly kiss, you'd think they'd be totally opposed to any form of blood. But fuck no, man. Shooting arrows at babies, gutting a little girl in front of her dead mom, blood shooting left and right. This movie pulled no punches, and I was genuinely impressed. In the end, this was another North Korean movie I genuinely enjoyed. It's strange in the fact that it almost doesn't feel like I'm watching a North Korean movie. Seriously, if it weren't for their thick North Korean accents, I would have easily believed this to be a South Korean production. The propaganda is light and not blatantly pro-communist, which makes sense considering that this is based off a 500-year-old folktale. Storytelling is good, no compulsory exposition dumps like in every Hollywood movie these days, and the fight choreography is on par with most Asian martial arts movies of the 70s and 80s, which might explain why this film was so hugely successful in the Eastern Bloc. So, with that in mind, if you're interested in a timeless Korean folktale with a communist twist, look no further than Kil Dong from 1986, everybody. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more content as O Youth is next. This is Jesse from Chosun Yonghwa Review. I'll see you next time.